weeks and weeks of play have led to this moment.
Playoffs is back and we have some surprises in store for you.
Absolute chills. Everybody so low for SrPeakCheck. Cookie!
There's a reason that Cookie was touted as the best soldier in EMEA.
Saints play this beautifully. The bomb sticks mid-air!
You gotta have supreme confidence in yourself.
There is so much to fight for, and I am stoked to see how it's going to really pan out.
I love this when the fight is dire, when players recognize when they must make a play.
Oh my lord!
I am so damn excited.
This is absolutely spicy.
Only one team gets to come away from this alive.
Now it's about their name. It's about their legacy.
Know when to take that risk, when to bet it all.
The Overwatch Contenders Summer Series playoffs continue right now.
Welcome back, everybody, to day number 2 of the Overwatch Contenders Summer Series playoffs. I'm Dustin Bowerman, joined by my lovely co-host, co-caster, Moxie. How are you doing today, Moxie? We have day number 2 of the Overwatch Contenders playoffs. Day number 1 was insane. Like, in Europe and North America, it went the distance for the entire day. Everybody was staying up watching all these games. What was your overall thoughts on day 1, first of all, Mox?
First of all, super smug. I called Ataraxia being one of those dark horses in this competition, given the fact that we've headed into an Orisa heavy meta and Helva's looking absolutely monstrous, as well as Gala. I mean, easily the best Iliari at the moment in Contenders, full stop. Cannot wait to get to see him back on that hero in action a little bit later on in the day. But like you said, we had some long matches, and surely we're going to be in for some long ones today as well, because we get to see SrPeakCheck back at it. We're going to have, again, curveballing away from the meta, and we can have a look at the schedule, and that is not the EU schedule, that is the NA schedule, as it's going to be O3 Splash and Pip taking on each other, as well as Saints and Wisp a little bit later in the day, as what we are currently going to actually get to see is our current leader in the standings, Twisted Minds, in the upper bracket, going to be going up against SrPeakCheck, determining their position in who's going to remain on top. And I mean, it's going to be a tough one for Cloudy, I'm pretty sure. Didn't get to have a lot of fun against the Bastion yesterday. Probably not going to have a lot of fun today up against Twisted Minds if they break out the Echo.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's waiting in anticipation to see how Twisted Minds is playing in the current patch. Meanwhile, we can take a look at the overall bracket. Make sure you guys are up to date on the matches that happened yesterday, basically off-stream. On-stream, Twisted Minds obviously 3-0'd Raspberry Racers to get to this point. That's why we're watching them today versus SrPeakCheck, and then SrPeakCheck had that close match between Peps yesterday, make that 3-2 fashion, and also Triple Esports and Raspberry Racers, unfortunately, after dropping loser brackets, have lost their matches and are now out of the playoffs entirely. So already 2 teams eliminated going in today, Moxie. You know, we've really had some incredible matches yesterday, but what are maybe your highlights for today, Moxie, between maybe or Twisted Minds or SrPeakCheck? What's going on in your thoughts for today's matches?
So I think this first matchup is going to be really interesting because we have 2 teams that aren't really going into the new meta. They're still trying to work with what worked with them in terms of the normal group stages. SrPeakCheck, we saw them yesterday. They're just going to run the Reinhardt. And as a result, that sort of forces the entire team into all of these hero picks that they have to use to be able to actually allow that Reinhardt to work. But Twisted Minds, they're also in a pretty similar situation. KSA is incredibly good on what we would call the off-tank roles, but he doesn't really flex on to the main tanks, and that does include the role of the Orisa. As a result, Twisted Minds, they've been running a lot of Ramatra, and we haven't seen the Iliari as a result, because just like the Reinhardt, the Ramatra needs both the Lucio and the Baptiste to find full value.
100%. You know, and we were kind of debating about this earlier. I was like, why is, you know, KSA probably would be a good Orisa, right? But you're right. This is the amount of time on some of these characters. That's kind of the biggest, one of the bigger determining factors as well. Meanwhile, Moxie, take a look at SrPeakCheck, their opponent. Obviously today, you know, it's going to be a hard match for the likes of SrPeakCheck, but if they could do it, I mean, or if any team could do it, it might be them.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it is going to be a hard ask because immediately Twisted Minds are actually going to be fielding not Quartz, but Labda, who is the Echo and Farah expert for the team. And LH Cloudy, he's going to be playing the Reinhardt. Danet's not actually going to be starting out for SrPeakCheck, so potentially we're not actually going to see the Symmetra teleporter. I think they've seen that Labda is starting off for Twisted Minds, and they want to have someone who's going to be able to play towards the hit scan, and that means someone like QRXU coming in to try and play something like the Ashe, or maybe even a Sojourn, to keep those two heroes in check.
Okay, let's see if he could do it. I mean, QRXU as well. You know, we kind of compare him to Quartz a lot of the time, it feels like, for the likes of SrPeakCheck. Very talented player in his own right, but, you know, that's the real test, like you said, just having to deal with Labda. And that's why they have him in. We'll have to see if he could do it. But obviously, that's in just a little short while. Meanwhile, for this matchup, with the meta changes, with all of these sort of different heroes coming into play, Mox, we've seen Torbjorn, Bastion so far, Symmetra. I mean, all of kind of the quote-unquote meme characters have kind of taken a forefront in the meta, it feels like, as of late. Now, I don't think that in terms of what SrPeakCheck's game plan is going to be, it's obviously not going to be around that Torb, it feels like, for the composition leading into this. What do you think QRXU is going to lean towards to try to deal with the likes of Lab? Do you think it's that Ashe or something?
Potentially the Ashe, maybe the Cassidy. He did get a little bit of a nerf on the Magnate, but crucially, he also regained that 25 health, so he's gone from 200 to 225, which does mean it's a little bit harder for him to be run down on, as we can have a look at how the series is going to start by looking at our first map. It is, of course, going to be a control point, and it is going to be Antarctic Peninsula, exactly where we started off yesterday. This should, on paper, really benefit the Rhine composition because closed up spaces, incredibly easy to be able to find a lot of value with things like the Fire Strike, but a lot of these maps are really viable for the Echo. Really high skyboxes on Icebreaker in particular as well. You have that entire awning over the point itself where the Echo can just sort of glide on top of that rooftop to be able to save a lot of that aerial momentum instead of having to burn a shift cooldown, and as a result play out of line of sight of any potential hit scan who try and take her out. Okay,
yeah, you're 100% right. It's I think that honestly I like kind of whenever one of these Pharah players or Echo players like Labda or Zon is playing in the game, just like they could probably run it everywhere. Where like, you know, they as long as they have that mercy pocket, or as long as they just kind of have played the map at least a little bit, usually they're always really high skill level. You know, in Antarctic Peninsula specifically, that first map, it feels like this has been the first map in a lot of our series so far. I mean, why do you think it is? So these teams really liking Antarctic Peninsula, Moxie? Is it just a matter of, you know, time in lobby? Is it a matter of win percentage in scrims? What's with this map, and why do so many, you know, teams love it?
So it benefits a lot of different compositions. We've already talked about it benefiting the Reinhardt, and for the exact same reasons it benefits the Ramatra. A lot of really closed up spaces where you're forced to fight super close. Well, that means that the Pummel in Nemesis form is going to find a lot of value, but you can also play that ranged poke, so that's going to benefit things like the Orisa if you want to play something like a Winston or a Diva. A lot of focus on the high ground and those rotations, especially on somewhere like sub-level, which, as the name suggests, has multiple levels that you have to control, both the low ground of the point itself, but also the high ground above it. For all of these things like Hanzo, Winston, Diva to find a lot of value, being able to just sit up on the high ground, get a little bit of poke pressure in before the fight properly starts, and then look to actually engage in on the dive. And as a result, stall potential, Dustin. The chokes on this map are brutal.
Yeah, they are. I mean, it's going to be so hard to deal with the likes of Labda spamming them out as well as they come in. But we saw yesterday when, I mean, obviously, like you mentioned before with SrPeakCheck not having Danid in the lobby, where, you know, those TPs were going to come through on the Symmetra a lot of the time for the likes of SrPeakCheck. Now they're not going to do that. I mean, how do you expect the likes of SrPeakCheck to play that aggressive when they can't? Like, don't you already think that SrPeakCheck is kind of on their back foot already just by having QRXU in the lobby? I mean, it's not really like QRXU is a bad player, but they're not going to be able to pull off those really hyper-aggressive Symmetra teleporters and stuff, right?
Yeah, but what this does do is that it means that they're actually going to be using abilities to be able to aggress in rather than bait out. Because that is something that we saw yesterday. Because you had that Symmetra teleporter, yes, if you wanted to immediately go for the fight on the point, you were able to take a lot of really quick fights into an ultimate advantage to your favor. But if you use the teleporter to just try and bait a push, distract what you were actually trying to do, and then gain ground because of it, and that didn't work out as a strategy, you lost so much time, and as a result, point percentage, and on control maps, you need to be taking these fights super snappy as quick as possible if you're not the ones in control.
100%. You're 100% right. And for this series specifically as well, if we go over to Twisted Mindset, we haven't seen them just yet, at least on broadcast in the current patch. And we're also going to be able to take a look at the lineup as well. Yubi will be in for the likes of Twisted Minds as well. But for this team in particular, do you think that, at least with the most recent patch changes, that this team benefits or only kind of has things taken away from them in the current patch? Because obviously Pharah and Echo kind of dominated in previous metas, but with all of the changes that happened in the most recent one, do you think the likes of Twisted Minds have gotten maybe a little bit weaker, more manageable?
I think there's more counters for the composition now. I wouldn't say the team is weaker because they're still playing on that insane mechanical skill level. But we saw yesterday for Triple, Iliari really does deal quite nicely with that pharmacy when you have Captive Sun available. The problem, however, is that SrPeakCheck aren't going to be playing those heroes who received the ability to better be able to counter the Pharah, better be able to counter the Echo, and as a result, Twisted Minds are still just going to be running into the exact same thing that they ran into in terms of the group stages, where they had such a dominant run and only dropped 2 maps through 11 matches.
Yeah, I mean, that's absurd. I mean, they've really created their own dynasty so far in Contenders in the European region. And, for the likes of SrPeakCheck, obviously this is going to be a tough mountain to climb. They could do it. I think that out of a lot of the teams so far, they've shown a lot of resilience. And, the fact that the game yesterday they had with Paps went to 5 maps definitely shows that they can kind of take it to some of these top teams and still win at the end. But, Twisted Minds, like you said, I mean, they only dropped, what you said, 2 maps? That's crazy. That's absurd.
Yeah, well, SrPeakCheck, there we go. We get our answer immediately. Cloudy obviously going to be playing on the Reinhardt, Fi the Mei, just to try and provide a little bit of additional cover for those engagements with the Mei, well as being able to isolate potential targets from Twisted Minds who were left alone, Slay being one of them, cut off the Ana's line of sight. But the crucial component of this composition is going to be the Cassidy. If QRXU does not get this space to be able to deal with Lambda, this map is done.
Sure. Cloudy walks on the inside angle, early up from the high ground as Twisted Minds kind of just play back. Have Lebda in the back of the top. Took a bit of a direct shot, so immediately Yubi comes in to try to dive on him, pressure him, but KSA also looks for that dive early to give them some space so Lambda now can come in, has the Mercy pocket there, but still will eventually fall. It's a 1-for-1, however, because Ghost fell in that fight, so no more heals for QRXU, just sitting at the back, kind of just sitting like a duck at the back of the map. Unfortunately, he went down. Fi did find Yubi, however, his entire team is basically gone. They did capture that point first, though. However, eventually they'll be able to find him, and Twisted Minds will reclaim that objective.
Aaron, here's the problem, right? So many players are going after QRXU, trying to deny that Cassidy. You would think that Fi and LH Clyde would get a lot more value, but because they don't have the means of being able to run in onto Slay, all they can do is hold on to the point and stall it for as long as possible until a full regroup comes through. QRXU is keeping up in terms of poke pressure with Lambda, but unfortunately having KSA to actually be able to dive fully on the Cassidy and Matrix, things like that Hinder nade, Safari gets a lot more freedom.
Nano Pharah play coming in, building towards that barrage, doesn't even need it, just to take down QRXU. Poked one too many times, now Ghost has to deal with Lambda, has the Lucio there, however, a Diva Bomb went off from KSA to zone out and get the kill onto Cloudy. Pretty easy fight win for Twisted Minds there.
Yeah, and they're now going to have two ways of being able to shut down SrPeakCheck's opener in this next engagement. Curaxu does have the Deadeye, but Slay can just sleep it, and KSA is going to have Defense Matrix. So SrPeakCheck are going to have to play this really smart, as you can see that they're having to take a lot of these longer rotations so that they don't get caught out by this pocketed fire.
Oh my god, immediate pulse bomb, though. The Immortality Field was there. Nice job from Ghost to get that off. I knew it eventually will pop, and they get KSA's mech, and then also him and Baby Diva form. However, now Labda comes in with the barrage, does get taken out by a Fire Strike from Cloudy, so they're still up in this fight, the likes of SrPeakCheck, and just come through to stagger out Slay as they reclaim the point.
This should be where SrPeakCheck are able to deal better with the Pharah. They're going to be expecting the dive onto QRXU. Already you can see that LH Cloudy is playing in a much more defensive position, since that they can just now stall and stagger, waiting for Twisted Minds to actively try and contest this point and look for a flip. But unfortunately, the only one who can really do that is either KSA or UB.
KSA looking to pressure that objective out. Fi sitting the left side with that Blizzard. Valkyrie popped by Twisted Minds. They want to go aggressive with it and immediately dive onto QRXU. However, eventually Labda gets taken out by Ghost. Kelix right there with the Resurrect. Now the Blizzard comes out from Fi to try to zone. Unfortunately, does not connect onto anybody, but pushes them away from that main area as SrPeakCheck still have control of the objective. They lose Ghost. Now it flips back over. Twisted Minds, just far too much damage on their side. 80% of the board. Now SrPeakCheck enter last fight territory.
SrPeakCheck was so busy trying to peel away the effect of KSA moving onto that point that unfortunately QRXU was left entirely defenseless, and Twisted Minds saw their opportunity and pounced. Fi now goes onto the Soldier to be able to regroup with the team faster, but also provide an additional form of hit scan to try and deal with the Pharah, given that Slay has got the Nano, and Labda very much waiting for his opportunity.
Yeah, immediate charge in from Cloudy towards the point. Now that Nano comes out, KSA wants to go aggressive because they have the Diva Bomb. QRXU, how do you deal with this Nano Pharaoh? Looks like you just don't. Unfortunately, QRXU will be going down. KSA tops the Diva Bomb and does get killed by Fi, who has switched to that Soldier 76. Now Labda goes aggressive, and then Ghost takes him out. Fi as well, and the Soldier gets his own 2 kills, and they come back through to claim the point.
So this is actually a much better pick. The Reinhardt May composition is not going to find value because you don't have kill potential. You can't run onto the Tracer, you can't run onto the Pharah, you can't run onto the Mercy. The only thing you can really do is try and wait for KSA to be out of boosters and use the wall then. But remember, Diva got buffed. Those boosters come up a lot more frequently than you're expecting. So now having that Soldier provides even more pressure on the Pharmacy, but if you get dove on by KSA alongside it, you've still got the sustain for yourself.
Yeah, no double support ultimates to help this barrage out. Leb decides, so they're playing back. SrPeakCheck well aware of what's happening. Cloudy could also control the objective, but a Sleep Dart came through onto Dala. And now that barrage comes through into that Immortality Field and beat though from Dala. Perfectly played by the supports of SrPeakCheck. And now Cloudy just goes for the Shatter, knowing his life is in danger. Fi comes through over the top to take out Labda as they're missing their tank player. Now they drop that Amplification Matrix. With that space, the Helix Rocket through it as well, just to get all of that damage towards the point. Dala gets slept again, but it doesn't matter. He can keep delaying out this objective. Yubi drops the pulse and actually gets the kill. The Tac Visor was popped by Fi, but he eventually was taken out still by Yubi. Dala will find Slay after going aggressive on the Lucio, so the back line of SrPeakCheck bring things back for them, and they actually win the first map.
It's going to be really interesting to see moving forward whether or not SrPeakCheck lock the May again or prioritize the Soldier. Because the Soldier instantly find them just so much more value, but if we had somewhere like sub-level where you want to take those engagements as a Reinhardt on the high ground so you can put even more pressure on the backline and the space that they have available, or even somewhere like Icebreaker where we've talked about those really punishing chokes, the May is going to find a lot of value just making sure that Twisted Minds lose the space.
SrPeakCheck taking round number 1 is quite insane, Moxie. Now coming into this one, Twisted Minds, I mean, looking to play a very similar comp.
Labda, no surprise, is going to be playing on that Pharah. There's the awning as well that I was talking about. So much more room for this Pharah to be able to find value. Again, it really does come down to QRXU and Ghost on the hit scan, trying to keep these two in check. Otherwise, Fi's going to have to swap off the May and lend an extra hand.
Waiting on the inside angle. Nice shots from QRXU. Fi Sitting back now, SrPeakCheck look to move towards that objective. As it unlocks, they actually charge on through as well. Cloudy looking for maybe the Ana in the back, but they just come back for the peel and take KSA out of the mech again. Labda only takes that immortality field out in Trey. Cloudy gets slept, QRXU gets poked down real low, and eventually UB will be able to find him with the likes of Labda helping over the top. Cloudy going for the charge onto Slay. Actually tries to int for that Ana. Unfortunately, it costs him his life, but KSA is still not back in this fight, so they don't have a lot of that tank pressure. However, it doesn't matter. Labda dealing with Ghost in that back. Fi gets Slay and Yubi. I mean, Fi has been playing absurd. However, now Kellex has that res, so this negates all of that damage that Fi was putting down. SrPeakCheck did claim that objective first, though, so they're just looking to build some more time on that point. They're a great team at just playing the objective, no matter what the map type is. Pulse Bomb comes out, countered by the shield of Cloudy and an immortality field, but the grenade, the anti-grenade from Slay connects to slow them down for now. However, look, SrPeakCheck still building towards that objective time, nearing on 50% just off of claiming it first.
Yeah, that start was brutal. As well as the fact that if Slay wants to try and send Labda into this fight with something like a nano boost, QRXU is playing these really long angles. Even from how they were rotating onto the point the first time around, they didn't directly go through choke. They played towards the back end of that point, understanding that the Pharah wanted to use the awning to save on the movement, and setting the Cassidy up for this exact angle if they get pressured. They just go straight onto point. The Deadeye is going to pretty much guarantee a full flip to come through, and it's down to KSA to not contest.
He has to contest. Now he's into a blizzard, but Labda's still sitting with this barrage, knowing that beat had to be popped earlier. Now that nano comes through, dives into the back with the barrage, connects on to Dala and QRXU, but Fi takes him out. Has that amplification matrix popped by Ghosty. Cloudy with the Fire Strike as well, gets onto Kellex. Ghost gets onto UB2, and nice work from SrPeakCheck to reclaim that point.
You could argue that it cost a lot of ultimates in comparison to what Twisted Minds use, but having control of this space is absolutely huge for QRXU because now he gets to fire first and Labda has to use the first shift to pick up movement to go into the sky, opening up the site for the Cassidy to take the Pharah down early.
Walled off though, UB can't come through just yet. KSA has to back out, drops the Diva Bomb. Didn't maybe expect to lose mech there, but UB with the Pulse Bomb finds Cloudy. After the immortality field was burned from Ghost, Labda eventually will just whittle down QRXU as well. And now stall mode comes through from SrPeakCheck. Dala will just look to touch this objective and fall for it as Twisted Minds reclaim it.
Here's the thing though, SrPeakCheck, like you said, they went into stall mode, and now all they have to do is build up those same ultimates, the Blizzard, the Deadeye, even just an engaging sound barrier, to be able to go straight onto the point, and there isn't really anything Twisted Minds have other than this Nano Pharah to be able to keep these players in check, and there it is! Fi takes the Pharah down, and Cloudy immediately sees an opportunity.
I mean, who needs hit scan when you have this guy on May? QRXU will take down UB as well, so they're still in the advantage even though the res was used by Kellex to bring Labda back in the fight. I mean, body shot after body shot, the bare minimum, and then headshots as well, Fi. Oh my god, SrPeakCheck have the point again.
This May is doing so much more than the Soldier this round because you can actually see Fi prioritizing going for the secondary onto the Pharah, but also using the beam, the spray from that May gun that isn't a projectile and as a result doesn't get eaten by defense matrix to make sure that KSA's dives actually lower his health dramatically to the point that when defense matrix runs out, he's so easy to take down.
Nano boost used, so a counter beat comes through. Labda still sitting with that barrage. Blizzard towards that point as well, so Labda finds one. Now, and Ghost trades it back, though. KSA loses the mech. They have the Amp Matrix on the point. I mean, they've been playing so well around this Amplification Matrix, just able to hit the body shots on this Mercy and Pharah. However, now they're not hitting them. Labda able to find Ghost, just take them out eventually by playing above the point. Unfortunately for Fi, he's a little bit of whipping right now. And SrPeakCheck try to regroup around it. However, the kills just aren't there. Twisted Minds surely will outnumber them. Fi does take down Yubi, that's something, but Labda immediately will remove that force. Rez also here from Kellex's side to bring Yubi back into it as KSA has found QRXU. Twisted Minds will have the point again.
Twisted Minds back in this matchup very much, as KSA is going to be coming into this next fight with the self-destruct. So even if he gets demeched early, now that the D.Va gets that additional iframe on the ejection, you are going to have the ability to be able to hop back into that mech safely, as opposed to before where you would immediately be taken out of the mix, and Twisted Minds won't be losing a tank as easily, as Lambda is just spraying once again, spamming down into this long angle so that the Cassidy doesn't find the value.
SrPeakCheck try to walk in as, Five has swapped over to that cast. Immediately onto Ghost. Lambda's trying to dive. Immortality Field used to keep them up for a bit longer, but Lambda will eventually find both him and Fi. On the other side, Cloudy with Fire Strike and just his hammer, able to take down KSA's and Baby D.Va form, and then on to Kelix as well, but Yubi's Pulse Bomb lands true. Lambda as well with the Barrage, able to find QRXU, and it's just Dala alive in the overtime. They do have the objective, so maybe they have built up a little bit of time. Yubi doesn't have a lot of heals here either, but no! Eventually, KSA will take down that Lucio player. Ghost as well falls, so no more supports are here. And we're going to that third sub-map.
It's a smart swap coming through from SrPeakCheck in that last fight. QRXU going onto the Tracer, understanding that the win condition of that Pharah composition is stalling you out in those chokes, so you just continuously eat that damage and chip away into your abilities and resources. So they put him onto the Tracer, he can look for the contest. As a result, LH Cloudy, not stuck in the choke, gets to go into the point and start pressuring Twisted Mind's back line. The problem is that all of the other players from SrPeakCheck still in the choke and having to use the Immortality Field to be able to survive the ire of Lambda. And once those squishies are gone, that Reinhardt is incredibly easy to overwhelm. As 1-to-1, we now head to sub-level, and this is the map that the Reinhardt struggles with the most. The high ground is so hard for this Rein composition to be able to control without the Symmetra, but if they go for the Symmetra play, they lose the hit scan and the ability to deal with the pharmacy. Unfortunately, it's just a lose-lose.
100% Cloudy gets slept as well as he tried to take that open space. Like you mentioned, I mean, it's just tough for this Rein to find value. They're still sitting above the point as well, though, so they have that kind of space advantage. However, Twisted Minds just looking to force them off of it. Fi drops towards that point to make sure that nobody claims it. QRX, you almost get tracked down by Yubi. The Pharah as well coming through with the pressure. Immortality Field has to be used by Ghost, but they're still healthy. And QRXU finds Lambda. It's in a tough spot to res. Yubi has taken a few body shots and needs some healing on the outside. Eventually, it will get hit by the grenade as well to get hindered, but eventually SrPeakCheck will drop towards that point. Oh my god, it's a big anti-grenade, but as the follow-up damage there, it doesn't look like it. Everybody playing around this backline of the Cassidy and Baptiste, and eventually SrPeakCheck claimed this point.
It's an even bigger pin as well. Cloudy is able to take down Kelix, and as a result, Twisted Minds don't have the pharmacy enabled. Really smart too, coming from the team. They understand once the Rein drops onto the point, everyone from Twisted Minds is going to look to overwhelm the Cassidy, who doesn't have that Rein shield to be able to protect him from the dive that comes through. And Cloudy does not drop until the last possible minute, allowing QRXU to survive and find the counter against the pharmacy. Yet again, Cloudy only now going for the drop to try and contest the D.Va. KSA seeing the opportunity, uses the boosters, and there's the attempt on the cast.
Charge onto Yubi, and then Fire Strike into Lambda. 5 removes Kelix too. Beautiful by SrPeakCheck, and specifically LH Cloudy.
He's just using those stairs like escalators at the moment with that Rein charges. Poor Slay just has to look to reset as quickly as possible. You can see, they see, okay, no Cassidy, Yubi tries to go for that. And I think he actually gets cancelled out of the Pulse Bomb animation at the exact same time, Dustin.
Oh my god. I'm gonna enter my Joker arc after watching LH Cloudy. I mean, that was so funny. SrPeakCheck now, 70% on the board. If they could do this, win this first map, I mean, this would be already a huge upset.
Well, they've got the zoning, they've the Deadeye, and Yubi doesn't have the immediate counter of seeing an immobile Cassidy and dropping a Pulse Bomb directly onto him.
Yeah, and Matrix as well. KSA got slept, now has the bomb. but now it's against that Nano Pharah. Cloudy able to find KSA and Baby Diva form, so maybe they just take that tank advantage, but Cloudy just wants to run on the inside. The res comes through into KSA, but Ghost has found Lambda. That was a lot of the damage, and Yubi doesn't have the pulse bomb, so he's missing a lot of it as well. KSA, though, still able to find Ghost after being rezzed and brought back into his full-on Diva form. Nice Maywall, though, to block the intergrenade from Slay. They're still trying to play back as they don't have Ghost. SrPeakCheck missing some of those heals. High Noon comes out from QRXU, but they don't really have any follow-up to make any value come out of that play. Specifically, overtime ticks down. SrPeakCheck just want to lose Fi and reset.
Yeah, it was an attempt at zoning, but Twisted Minds were able to put themselves behind those pillars on the point to keep it contested. So SrPeakCheck, off of the back of that ultimate, don't find the cheeky flip that they were looking for. As now, no Deadeye, Yubi does have that pulse bomb and is looking to land it dead on the Cassidy if they try and push onto the high ground.
20% on the board now for Twisted Minds. They've had to kind of build things up from the start. UB with the pulse bomb will try to throw it out. Unfortunately, it does not connect with anybody. Fi as well has been kind of that point contester for SrPeakCheck, at least first of all, but now Lambda has that barrage ready to go. They're also building towards that nano boost and still have this objective time. KSA able to get that hard pocket from Slay. Takes a Fire Strike again. Cloudy has been so good at pressuring Slay with the Fire Strikes. KSA falls so low, but will eventually get healed up. Out of mech, actually. Cloudy finds Kelix. Barrage now comes through from Lambda with the Nano Boost. Now, after that Immortality Field is burned, Lambda looks to find these kills. QRXU will get done. Ghost tries to take the 1v1 with Lambda in the sky, but it's so hard on that inside to deal with him. Dala able to find KSA. SrPeakCheck as well do have this point to play around. Dala is the only heals, though, on this objective as Ghost fell earlier, so unfortunately, SrPeakCheck will be whittled down and Twisted Minds reclaim the objective.
However, Fi is able to build up the Blizzard. KSA needs to be able to defense matrix this, otherwise we're literally just going to see SrPeakCheck throw it onto the point and convert it into a point flip, knowing that Twisted Minds, they don't have the usual win conditions, right? No nano boost for Lambda, not even a barrage.
Twisted Minds playing back, you're right. I mean, this ult game is really what's going to matter most. SrPeakCheck walk out towards the top, and QRXU finds Yubi after the recall with that grenade. Nice work from QRXU. Now they look to kind of zone out Twisted Minds. KSA the only one with an ultimate, just trying to delay the point as long as he can, but there's that Blizzard, so immediately after he comes out of the mech, he's gonna die in Baby Diva form, and then the shield can block the Diva bomb. SrPeakCheck reclaiming that point. Overtime ticks down to half. Somebody's gonna have to touch. It looks like it's the Tracer for Twisted Minds. Pulse bomb just yeeted out for Yubi. Does not find anybody. He looks to just touch the point over and over again, trying to bring something for Twisted Minds, but they lose Lambda. Rez comes through, but QRX will find Yubi during it. KSA is back. Lambda's still here. They're very close to some ultimates. Valkyrie now gets popped. Diva bomb by KSA after he comes back, but it does not find any value this time. Saved it for that specific engagement. Now Kelix just looking to touch this point with the muff form as Valkyrie. Eventually, Fi will hit him with the Icicle, and that's it. Map number 1 goes in the favor of SrPeakCheck.
And SrPeakCheck, throughout the entirety of that overtime fight, they're still sitting on the Deadeye because they understand the Deadeye is literally like a snowball going to pick up more value the longer that overtime runs on for. Because if they wait until overtime has been running for longer, if everyone from Twisted Mind steps off of the point, steps off of contesting because they're zoned out by the Deadeye, instantly upon activation of that ultimate, SrPeakCheck are going to be able to take the map. And QRXU, we talked about him needing to come through for this team on the Cassidy, 100% comes out on top, not just against this pharmacy, but also against Yubi. In the second last fight, Yubi is 87% to pulse bomb before QRXU is able to take the Tracer down with help from the Hindenade, and as a result, Twisted Mind's ultimate economy is absolutely nowhere to be found. KSA has the self-destruct, but he can't use it because Fi's holding onto the Blizzard. He has to hold onto the mech to try and matrix out the mail.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to deal with at the moment. You're 100% right that QRXU was a massive catalyst, Fi as well, and that's probably why, Moxie, you probably agree with me, where it's like SrPeakCheck at the moment, it's hard to just call out one individual player for that, right? I mean, it feels like they all stepped up. I mean, previously on these other maps, the amplification matrix, perfect. Immortality field usage from Ghost is Dala as well, perfectly timed beat drops, contesting of the objective. And then Cloudy getting the charge onto the Tracer, Fire Strikes whenever possible to disrupt the backline and stuff. I mean, this was like perfect Overwatch for them, huh?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing for me was actually this very map here. Oh my goodness, yeah. Fire Strike, and then just charge cancels out the pulse bomb animation. But Fi coming in with these melee walls, he wasn't using them for a lot of the time to actually set Cloudy up because he understands the Ryan's not going to find the value. He's not really getting those melee fights that he's looking for. Everyone just has some ability to be able to outpace him. So instead, he starts to use the melee walls to block the Ana's line of sight on Twisted Mind's side. And there's actually an entire like POV where we're sitting on Slay's first-person perspective as the Ana, and he's just being blocked by a melee wall, and as a result, KSA actually has to use the Diva boosters to be able to make it onto the high ground on the point to get in line of sight of his Ana when he's on critical health, rather than getting to play super aggressive and setting up more space for Yubi and Labda to work with.
Yeah, that was a hard game for them so far. I mean, it seems like SrPeakCheck's kind of thinking a step ahead, huh? And maybe for this next map, they could do the same thing. However, you know, Twisted Minds will be taking us to Numbani. Maybe could you walk us through why Numbani is potentially a good map for the likes of Labda and Twisted Minds? Obviously, they have a game plan around this map specifically.
I mean, but to put it simply, this is the worst Rhine map on point A, right?
Yeah.
The only way that this Reinhardt composition is going to work is if you either slot in the Symmetra teleporter, but we've already talked about that. By going for the Symmetra teleporter, you're going to take out that counter play against this pharmacy, and that's what Twisted Minds are trying to force SrPeakCheck into doing. Or you have to go low ground rotation onto point and anchor there. And that means that Cloudy, the only thing he's really going to be able to do is hold shield for the team and walk until they get dropped down on.
Oh, okay, well, let's see if they can actually win on this map. Like you said, it's a super hard map for the likes of the Reinhardt compositions, in which SrPeakCheck thrives in. So, I mean, to take down that first round, I mean, you talked about was that the third or fourth map loss so far from this contender season? Yeah, so already a massive accomplishment for the likes of SrPeakCheck so far. If they can win another one, that would be the first time that a team's taken 2 maps off of them in one series, right? So
yeah,
if that happens today, if they win the series, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm looking ahead probably too much. Obviously, you know, Twisted Minds are still a dominant force after that map number 1. Maybe you're a little shaken. However, you know, with their season so far, Moxie, I mean, this team is still a true force to be reckoned with, right?
Yeah, but like you said, Twisted Minds, they're an incredibly strong team, very much a force to be reckoned with, and on this map, this is going to be the big one, right? If SrPeakCheck are able to take this away from Twisted Minds, not only, like you said, is it going to be the first time that they ever drop more than one map in a series in this season of Contenders, but this is one of their strongest maps for all of the reasons that we've already listed. So much focus on the high ground, so much pressure as well that you have to put these defensive Anas under. When you want to try and go for those rotations, you have to pretty much just send a Tracer all the way around the backside of that point, burning a lot of time on those rotations to make sure that the Ana is pushed off of the angle. But SrPeakCheck, they can't afford a Tracer for all of the reasons that we've already listed. So for them, it's going to be bunker up on the point as quickly as possible, hope that Curex UFI are going to be able to apply early pressure and poke down one of these squishies, as they just have to rotate as quickly as they possibly can. There they are, under they go, and onto point they're gonna run.
Bit of a fake first, then coming down through immediately to the back of the point as well. I mean, yeah, you talked about their game plan. Immediately do this, but where did they go after?
They're going high ground.
Yeah, they're going back to the back halls, maybe leaving QRXU through main, but no, they're sticking together. This time, Immortality Field is already burned. Maybe they want to wait for that cooldown to slightly come back. They fake out that right side. Fire Strike through there. Now they come through the top. Kind of confuse Twisted Minds as it stands. Now they speed boost out the top, understanding the backline is where they want to get. Fi takes poke, so does QRXU, but they're immediately healed up. KSA, meanwhile, poke down. This objective is free, and Fi hits those shots. Labda removed. Res will come through at the end of the day for the likes of Twisted. Wait, it was canceled. It was canceled because Cloudy is here. Wait, no, here's the Res. Eventually will come through from Kelix, but he has to back up. Cloudy now has to give up a little bit of that position. I thought it was potentially out of cooldown there, but fine. Eventually will come back onto Yubi. Now Cloudy hits the fire shot on the Labda, and this is clinical from SrPeakCheck. 2 already for them. No DPSs in sight for Twisted Minds. KSA will lose the mech. Slay went down, and as does Kelvix. SrPeakCheck blazing fast time considering they're against the Pharaoh team.
They go for the Tracer rotation. Yes, it takes them a little bit longer. They really do have to go for the fake out. So Labda doesn't know which angle to preemptively spam before the fight begins. But they take the space away from Slay. KSA, like we've already seen, is taking so much pressure from Fi with that maybe making sure that it can't go through defense matrix, and Cloudy just gets to play super aggressively into Slay's face, and as a result Labda goes down to the May pressure, as now we can see SrPeakCheck yet again remove the high ground angle so that Slay has even less space to be able to set Labda up for.
Yeah, Ghost in QRX2 trying to set up this top side, so Twisted Minds attempt to go through the coast. Now there's that nano onto Farah, and Yubi's there with the follow-up as well. Slay able to take down Ghost. Immortality Fill was burned, then Slay takes down Cloudy as well. Twisted Minds maintain around this bus.
So this isn't the worst outcome for SrPeakCheck. They've been able to bait out the nano boost. They still have to be concerned about the barrage, given the fact that it does rip through Immortality Field. They're probably going to have to layer both the Immortality Field and the Sound Barrier over each other if they want to be able to survive the Fire Ultimate, especially with the Mercy Pocket, as there it is. There's Immortality Field, but they hold on to the Sound Barrier.
Shatter comes through, Fi able to find Yubi. Now that Sound Barrier gets popped. KSA will lose the mech, has Diva Bomb as well, but doesn't want to use it because when you're in the Blizzard and use the Diva Bomb, you're surely going to also die in Baby Diva form, and then with Cloudy's shield, they could just block it off. So with that, SrPeakCheck just take this advantage, walk forward, look for more picks here. Slay still on this high ground. If they could find him staggered, the likes of SrPeakCheck, that'd be huge, and they actually do so. Pulse One comes out from Yubi though, and it does kill Cloudy. The res will be there from Kelix because it's so hard to get that follow-up kill. So with that, SrPeakCheck back up and wait for Cloudy.
ASI's gonna have to self-destruct, but Twisted Minds have burned through every single other ultimate that they have available to be able to keep SrPeakCheck around the corner, where the Fire is going to have a lot more value in terms of that spam initial pressure. As Fi off of the May onto the Torbjorn, you want to talk about spam initial pressure. Torbjorn turret is going to be doing more than enough, especially alongside this cast.
Yeah, I mean, this Tracer surely needs to play a bit more safer. Yubi on the inside of the Axiom, where the mini health pack is. Looks to just play with KSA in the main. Cloudy tries to walk up, but does get chunked down. Needs a bit of healing from Ghost, who is building towards that Ant Matrix. Now that Nano comes through into Labda, who just takes down Fi instantly. Now that High Noon comes out to counter the barrage, but Labda will get him in his dying breath with the barrage. Unfortunately for QRX2, the res is also here. Alex will go down to Ghost though. KSA losing the mech, has the Diva Bomb in the sky, takes a body shot too, so he goes so low, and the follow-up damage is not there because Cloudy was chunked down as well, but they still have the advantage in terms of player count at the moment. Fi on Soldier 76 now just rained back into this fight. Kelix still has that Valkyrie ready to go. Cloudy just tries to find KSA early, connects on the charge, so that's half the health gone. Yubi will fall to Fi as well. The beat drop is here to sustain on the objective. Nobody else can touch, and SrPeakCheck are moving on to the third phase.
Like you said, even though Labda is able to find those picks onto SrPeakCheck with the barrage and the travel distance of those projectiles through the Deadeye, Fi swaps onto the Soldier, QRXU onto the Tracer, and as a result, SrPeakCheck are able to fully regroup before Twisted Minds and continue to apply the pressure and force the team without that far pressure around the first corner to back off, as now we're going to see KSA going on to that Ramatra, even more shield for Fi to have to chunk through first.
Shatter comes through, but it's kind of a zoning shatter for Ghost to find that kill onto Labda. Meanwhile, KSA will get the pummel on the Cloudy. Res comes through from Kelix, and understanding again that they're missing Cloudy, so they can't really win this. They back up, and a nano was used in that fight on the KSA as well, but Fi able to take out Labda. QRXU finds Slay. Okay, they'll eventually take them and remove them back to the spawn doors. There's 2 minutes and 25 seconds are left on the clock.
Yeah, but that's Nano Boosted Fire gone. Slay actually going to be swapping off of the Ana onto the Baptiste to allow KSA to have a lot more survivability and aggression to play around with. Fi now off of the Soldier onto the May to try and keep these angles, and also the Ramatra. If you try and go super aggressively with that Nemesis form, you are prone to the May wall. The isolation, there it is, and already that's Nemesis form popped early.
Yep, nice job. And the block used. KSA will just play around the corner now for it. That's a cart space given up because of the cooldown usage, like you mentioned. But oh no! Nice shots from Labda to take him and remove him back to the spawn. Immortality Field used here to keep QRXU alive while he went aggressive, and he actually trades back Labda, but the res is there. Yubi, out of the ice block form, has to back up and then pop the Blizzard. Cloudy will go down. Understanding that, SrPeakCheck now back up. 1 minute and 35 seconds now on this defensive hold so far for Twisted Minds.
Cloudy tried to time the charge to catch Yubi as he came out of the ice block, but as a result doesn't have the cooldown to be able to escape the May ultimate the way we see Ryan so many times counter it. As now with 1 minute on the clock, they're walking right into Annihilation, right into Barrage, with only one thing to be able to counter both Immortality Field. They have to provide a delay for Dollar to be able to build the Sound Barrier.
So far, Ghost holding onto that Regenerative Burst. Nice work from him to make sure he uses it at the right time. Beat drop used with the Ant Matrix on the point. Twisted Minds try to zone away. KSA gets poked down, though, during that Ant Matrix. And now also the Blizzard comes out. Barrage over the backside. Destroys the Immortality Field and gets 2 more. But the Blizzard on the objective is enough zoning for Ghost and Cloudy to find 2. So it's even so far in this fight. Calyx will get the res, though. Make things back in their favor. KSA also finds Cloudy, understanding that they've lost Cloudy. They're going to have to back up, entering last fight territory now for SrPeakCheck.
QRXU is going to have the Deadeye, but he has absolutely no space to be able to use it. And Twisted Minds are going to have zero respect for its zoning potential. Yubi can block it, is going to have the Blizzard as well to throw onto the payload to make sure that SrPeakCheck can't stall. They don't even have something like a Sound Barrier to allow them a regroup if they lose some of these players early when the payload starts to be pushed.
Wait, that is the sleep used on the QRXU in that fight early. Cloudy will go to touch the payload. There's that Blizzard and Maywall. As Cloudy surely gets frozen, has the Immortality Field, but will get burned down. Now here's the High Noon for QRXU. Dala and Fi look to touch the point. Unfortunately, he's a bit too far back to find value out of it. Now KSA just needs to stall on this payload as Cloudy respawns back. Coming into this fight, they're still down one. SrPeakCheck just looked to delay, but Labda's there with the shots on to Fi, so it's a constant 4 versus 5. Even if Cloudy comes back, I mean, it's absolutely detrimental to them. Missing that man. Still in that 4 versus 5, playing on the objective. Twisted Mind's not trying to play aggressive just yet until this barrage is ready to go from Labda with the Nano Boost. Now they go with it into that backline against the Ant Matrix, able to find 2 with just that barrage play in Nano. SrPeakCheck gets stopped in 3rd by Twisted Minds.
Unfortunately for SrPeakCheck, that second to last fight where they invest their ultimates to try and hold on to that forward position, being so concerned about how easily they can be spammed out of those pushes, lose players early because of just that pressure coming through from Yubi, Labda, and KSA on the Mayflower and Ramatra composition. They over-invest in ultimates, Dustin. So either it's going to work out brilliantly and they're going to be able to find the full team wipe and they don't have to worry about the fast regroups, or it works out the way we saw. It finds a little bit of value, but they're not able to stop the resurrection. They run out of all of that energy once the ultimates are gone, and Twisted Minds have the better sustainability because not only do they have that Mercy getting the resurrection fully back in the Slay to come back into the fight, but also the respawns are so much faster for Twisted Minds.
Yeah, I mean, they did a great job towards that 3rd point, and you know, it's awesome to see such a classic matchup as well kind of make its return with this Cassidy versus Farah. You know, SrPeakCheck on the defensive side. Moxie, do you think maybe they could hold on the 3rd for a bit versus the likes of Twisted Minds?
It's going to be really tough. Already, like, I'm so surprised about SrPeakCheck being able to make it past point A. In fact, how fast they were able to take point A and even make it through Streets Fates. Still having to go up against this Farah, even lacking that Symmetra. But again, it's going to come down to being able to keep this pharmacy in check. LH Cloud is going to be so easy to overwhelm, especially because Yubi is going for the Tracer to be able to dash and blink around these Reinhardt shields to force Cloudy into turning the direction of the shield so that everyone else finds more value in taking everyone who would usually be behind it down.
This is how SrPeakCheck like to play. QRXU will go down like Yubi. Labda is trying to duck and hide from Ghost, but you can't. I mean, Ghost has been so clean on the Baptiste so far. Now has to deal with KSA. Still has his Regenerative Burst and the Immortality Field. Cloudy also gets the charge onto Calyx. They regroup over the main side and find those first kills before Twisted Minds can even claim a tick.
This is so smart, like you said. Ghost survives, and as a result, Baptiste hit scan. and does get to continue to hang down Labda, who is parted from the Mercy Beam a split second because he's trying to play around that Baptiste primary fire, using the walls and cliffside to try and keep himself out of notice for as long as possible. But that actually separates him from Calyx, and as a result, when he uses the shift to try and boost back into the Mercy's POV, he hasn't been healed up, and Ghost is able to finish him off. They put so much pressure onto the Cassidy that Ghost is left unchecked.
By the objective toucher for SrPeakCheck. Still touching it, but Labda over the top, able to find Ghost, QRXU, and then Dala, and also Fi. Oh my god, nice shots from Labda. As Twisted Minds just come through, pretty clean take from them off of the Pharah player of Twisted Minds.
Yeah, the difference on that one as well is that unfortunately Cloudy had to abandon that high ground to be able to keep the point anchored in favor of SrPeakCheck, and as a result, Labda gets an absolute smorgasbord of squishies to be able to shoot down without having to worry about breaking that round shield first. And now that it's going to be contesting around this first corner, Fi is forced off of the Mei onto the Soldier to try and use these long angles and punish Labda before he's able to break into these other buildings and use them to break line of sight to collapse in on the back line.
Pulse bomb used by UB. Eventually, the nade comes through. Cloudy has to back up. Unfortunately, no immortality to keep him alive through that. QRXU finds Labda. Diva bomb as well as popped by KSA. While the cart is still pushing, Anti comes out again. Slay has been doing a great job hitting some big anti-nades. However, SrPeakCheck back all the way up and wait for Cloudy.
This is really rough for SrPeakCheck because they lost control of that really long angle. They even invested the amplification matrix to try to hold on to it for as long as possible for QRXU and Fight to have so much time and space to deal with Labda. But now Twisted Minds can just keep pushing this cart as Cloudy has to move in position to stop the payload from being pushed through.
Yeah, Labda, understanding that, can just keep shooting Cloudy's shield in that Axiom room. Now walks out half shield. Barrage surely going to come through with the nano play, and everybody gets deleted by the Pharah player. Eventually, the High Noon kills him, but it's a bit too late for that one. Twisted Minds move on to third with 4 minutes and 46 seconds.
Yeah, not running that Mei, not running that Tracer means unfortunately that it was Cloudy who had to keep the payload contested. And Twisted Minds, they see the absence of a Reinhardt shield in front of those squishies, and instantly Cloudy's not happy about that one. Comes straight back into the fight with a shatter. Will be able to connect onto KSA, but the boosters come back online in time for KSA to boost around the Mei wall and get back to the rest of his team.
Cloudy wants to go aggressive with that flank from Fi, but he gets left all the way behind. Immortality Field used to keep him up. Dala will find Slay and KSA, so nice aggressive play from SrPeakCheck there to send Fi on that flank via the high ground. Labda surely will fall to QRXU, and he does. SrPeakCheck finally stopped Twisted Mind so far.
They're doing the correct thing as well in terms of this defense. Not only are they just staggering so much time out of Calyx, who almost boomeranged with the GA to safety, but they're making sure that Twisted Minds don't get to move out of these chokes. They're ignoring the Pharah and running on to the rest of the team, dealing with them, and then turning to deal with Labda now that all of those avenues of sustain have been removed. And KSA instantly swaps onto the Ramatra to be able to punish that rush attempt.
3 minutes and 30 seconds left. Twisted Minds drop through under this archway. Here comes that amplification matrix from SrPeakCheck, slowed down by the anti from Slay. But, you know, can't really move the Ant Matrix. It's stagnant in its current location, so that ultimate already burned out. Now Twisted Minds get to walk in with this barrage. High Noon to counter it from all the way in Narnia, but Dala will find Labda after he's found two. Now the beat drop comes through after the barrage already was popped. UB out of ice block form is vulnerable, but Slay again. Anti-connects onto both Ghost and QRXU, then allows for Calyx to get that res as SrPeakCheck wait for Cloudy to come back.
Fi is going to have the Blizzard to be able to throw on to Twisted Minds. He's going to be taking the back approach, try and come through directly behind the team and cut them off of the ram.
Yeah, nice Blizzard onto KSA. He swaps form right before it, though, but still, they have the follow-up damage. Nice work from SrPeakCheck and Fi to drop that Blizzard off and get that kill.
They have to be so careful in this next fight, though, because Slay's going to have the nano boost to send on to Labda, and as a result, look at how much more space SrPeakCheck are taking away from Twisted Minds. They fully understand that if the Pharah is able to make it through out of that choke with the nano boost, she's going to run through the entirety of this team, considering they don't have a single support ultimate to be able to sustain through.
I think Cloudy's going to look for the Shatter as well, just looking for that Ana. But QRXU, oh my god, nice 2 shots on to Lebda and Kelix, who are playing towards that bus angle. And you're right, Mox. I mean, what an aggressive spot for SrPeakCheck to sit at.
They let them bull Deadeye as well. This is huge. So even if they lose this fight, even if Twisted Minds use the nano boost to be able to break through SrPeakCheck, they guarantee themselves another fight where they have the zoning potential with the Cassidy ult.
They wall up, High Noon out as well. Yubi looks to counter it with that Blizzard. QRXU gets frozen right at the corner. I thought he was out of line of sight to get frozen there, but unfortunately for him, he's still stuck by that Blizzard, and now Twisted Minds just regroup around that payload. They're finding stagger kills onto SrPeakCheck, maybe telling him to delay it.
You.
Ghost finds Slade though. KSA and Kelix still pushing that payload. Who's back for the side of SrPeakCheck? They got 3 on the payload. It's just Cloudy. Can they touch it in time? 1 meter left. Yes, they do. But there's the Shatter from Cloudy. Oh my god, onto Yubi. And then KSA falls right after. A minute left. They almost push it towards the end, but SrPeakCheck hold on.
KSA taken down before Annihilation can come into effect. Slay still holding on to the win condition. However, but SrPeakCheck have done what they've needed to do, Dustin. They have bought the time with those aggressive spawn holds to be able to build into support ultimates. As long as this Nano Pharah doesn't instantly vaporize the backline, they stand a chance.
Oh, that's a lot to ask for. KSA into the main side. Fi has to use the ice block now that Annihilation comes out. There's the Ant Matrix hinder onto KSA for now. Beat drop from Dala as well. Twisted Mind surely just going to wait that out as the Valkyrie and Annihilation also burned down. Now there's that Nano Pharah with the barrage. Ghost falls, and then QRXU potentially will fall. Now he does. That's a 2K for him in this fight. The Blizzard unfortunately just kills KSA with 10 seconds left. Twisted Minds are all here around this payload. Fi does go into ice block form. SrPeakCheck swap over to stall, but it doesn't matter. Fi immediately falls. QRXU can't even touch, and Twisted Minds will win on Nubani to tie the series up 1-1.
Twisted Minds with the perfect timing of that nano. Unfortunately, SrPeakCheck, they overlay both the sound barrier and the amplification matrix at the same time. So immediately when they see the Lucio and Baptiste ultimates gone, they have a full understanding of there is absolutely nothing other than a Blizzard that can stop us from touching onto this card, and as a result, Labda goes straight for the backline. The Mortality Field saves 1 for a split second, but all that does is delay the inevitable. It's every single barrage, every single nano boost. This found so much value when that space was denied and SrPeakCheck didn't have ultimates to try and zone the Pharah out.
100%. I thought maybe on that last fight, Moxie, that like SrPeakCheck had to go for maybe some sort of aggressive play, right? Or like some sort of cheese play. But I mean, it was tough. It's a tough call to make in such a tight scenario when the payload's that close to the objective too. I mean, what really was the right call there, Mox? Was it just what they did?
So you can't really play as aggressive as you want either, because you're playing into a Ramatra and the pummel goes through the Rhine shield. So if Cloudy wanted to try and play off of the amplification matrix, KSA literally would just have pulled right back around the corner, vortex behind the Reinhardt so that he was entirely slowed and wasn't able to make it back to his team, and that would have forced the Immortality Field out early and immediately been the green light for the Pharah to be able to move in for the kill. Unfortunately, at that point, the only way that SrPeakCheck are going to be able to find the win is if Twisted Minds miss time when they actually peak and go into the amplification matrix before it burns out, or if when the Pharah starts to go for the engagement and the Ana looks for the nano timing, one of their DPS is able to find a pick and shut the push down before it can start, and neither happen. As unfortunately, you can play as well as you can, but if you're playing in a fight that's conditional on your opponent messing up, you really don't want your opponent to be the undefeated champions at the moment in this bracket.
Yep, I mean, Twisted Minds even the series up 1-1, but knowing that, we have to go to a short break before that, map number 3, guys, so don't go anywhere. We'll see if this series can extend even longer. We'll be right back.
You like solving problems. Problems like how to stop that Tracer from deleting your backline? I know just what you're thinking. Go bring a turret.
But y'all can't solve all your problems by simply bringing an extra friend to the battlefield. For that, you need the Contenders Torbjorn skin. Solve your problems by connecting your Battle.net account to Twitch. After that, watching Overwatch Contenders Summer Series will contribute to your drops progress, letting you claim your Overwatch Contenders Torbjorn skin. Even your turret gets an upgrade. Warning, the Overwatch Contenders Torbjorn skin does not come with extra or upgraded turrets. Build instructions will not be provided. By picking Torbjorn, you waive a claim towards any destroyed turrets. No refunds, no exchanges, and no take-backsies.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Overwatch Contenders Playoffs. Today we have a match between the likes of Twisted Minds, the champions so far, the reigning champions of Contenders Europe versus SrPeakCheck, Claudia and Reinhardt. That's all you need to know about them. Very, very close matchup so far. It's 1-1, all tied up, and it's very surprising, I think, going into this. It was maybe unexpected for the likes of SrPeakCheck in this matchup to have such a close game versus Twisted Minds so far.
Yeah, you can tell, though, that they've really been thinking about strategies, about weaknesses of the composition for this Reinhardt, how if they field this Symmetra, they open up just so much more space for this pharmacy to work off of. And no surprises that they decide to take us to this next map of Escort, which is going to be Circuit. This is a trustful exercise, is probably the best way I can define this, Dustin, because the Reinhardt is going to struggle for all of the reasons that we've already discussed, but for all of the reasons the Rein's going to struggle, your DPS are going to be so much more enabled in the space and angles that they have to try and take this pharmacy down. And as a result, for the first time, we're going to see Twisted Minds swapping off of the Pharah. Quartz is going to be coming into play for them for the first time this series.
Ooh, okay, Quartz versus QRXU. I mean, this is a matchup that I was anticipating for sure. I mean, I think everybody was. I mean, what do you think we see these guys on, Mox? Do you see it on the Widow? Do you see it on the Hanzo? Or are you thinking we just get that good old classic Cassidy duel?
Potentially Sojourn. as well.
Oh,
is
yeah.
definitely one of the things that you can talk about. But yeah, we could see the Cassidy, we could see the Widowmaker for that point A duel. A lot of really horrible grappling spots for attacking and defensive Widows, depending on where you're respawning and where those fights are taken. But if we do see that duel, again, there's going to be a lot more value for Twisted Minds, because KSA can play the Diva, but he can also play the Ramattra, and Ramattra has melee options like the Reinhardt, but also gets poke options like something with an Orisa. So you are going to be having a lot of pressure coming through when you try and take those angles for the DPS of SrPeakCheck to have to deal with.
Okay. Let's see if the likes of SrPeakCheck can deal with them. I mean, this is obviously their map choice, so you know, against the likes of Twisted Minds, it's going to be always a tough choice for what map to go to next, considering, I mean, like we said, they just have not really lost this year. I mean, they've just been such a good team, you know, throughout the regular season, throughout the round robin, and also in the most recent iterations of Contenders as well in the European region. They've been a dominant force to be reckoned with, even when they go into the Pro-Am and take out Overwatch teams. I mean, they've been a very, very talented roster, and SrPeakCheck is taking it to them at the moment.
SrPeakCheck is also going to be putting QXU onto the Symmetra. So this is actually sort of something I was expecting. Now that that issue, that threat of the pharmacy hanging constantly above Cloudy's head, punishing the inability of Reinhardt to be able to deal with those aerial heroes has been removed, you can go for the Symmetra and you can play for those really fast fights, fast rotations, and really pressure Twisted Minds into having to fight every single inch of this map.
Yeah, that'll be ideal for them, like you said. Now waiting towards this spawn door, going for that early spawn camp as Twisted Minds to hit the Hanzo. Kellis get walled off immediately. KSA also walled off into the corner, but Cloudy's gonna body block him, make sure he can't get back into the spawn, so surely the damage output is here to take down the Ramattra. Sure, they give up some cart space, but they eventually find KSA, just teleport back as Symmetra towards the cart, and somehow, some way, SrPeakCheck win this first fight.
Yubi, however, was able to rotate towards the payload, but it's spotted out by SrPeakCheck, who are actually able to deal with the Bay fast enough to be able to re-establish themselves on this exact same super aggressive early angle. As Twisted Minds, they've got Quartz on the hands with the shield break, but honestly, we might see them break out the Bastion just to be able to break through these doors.
DP over to the right side, QRX goes, nice charge from Cloudy, catches out the May of Twisted Minds, so Yubi goes down. Immortality field used to keep Cloudy healthy, so nice work by Ghost there as well, and that's another 2 kills. Slade, though, able to find QRX towards the payload. He was being that kind of back and forth Symmetra teleporter player, and eventually he will go down, but Twisted Minds get stopped again as SrPeakCheck. Maybe do they back up now?
Oh, Ghost goes down though. That's huge. SrPeakCheck without that Baptiste and no sound barrier in charge are going to have to take things a lot more slow, especially with Cloudy going down. Now it just becomes throw yourself onto payload and keep it stalled for as long as possible.
Yeah, 2 minutes and 30 seconds left now for Twisted Minds on the attacking side. Point A, minute 30 off the clock for SrPeakCheck.
Incredibly one-sided though in terms of those spawn holds, so as a result the only people from Twisted Mind side who've actually been able to properly build into ultimates are Yubi and Slay. Ghost is going to be able to match the amplification matrix. Fire is also going to be able to match the Blizzard. You just have to make sure that Quartz now on the angle on that high ground doesn't manage to curve it around the Rhine shield and pick up the squishy, and unfortunately that is exactly what happens.
Fantastic shot from him. Cloudy will be able to get Kellis with a shatter, but it might be too little too late. I mean, QRX2's gotten to, has high charge, can teleport her away, and actually get Yubi too. So he's getting more than you could ask for out of a Symmetra right now. As Twisted Minds, maybe they're... Oh, Fi hits the shot on the Slate too! And these stagger kills have been amazing for SrPeakCheck.
And because the May is still alive alongside the Lucio, you can actually try and establish yourself back on this payload and stall. If Twisted Minds have tried to pressure to keep that angle around the corner, Fi simply just uses the wall and the block until the team has fully regrouped, and as a result, Twisted Minds now going to have to dig far deeper into the ultimate economy bank to be able to break through the space.
Is it available from Fi, sitting over this left side angle, takes a body shot from Quartz. Quartz now understanding where that May is. Looking for that kill. Symmetra Wall used just to back up, though, against this Ant Matrix. So it's a Symmetra Wall for the Ant Matrix from Slay. Now, Ghost will drop his own Ant Matrix, knowing that Twisted Minds just back all the way up. They don't even want to fight during this, but 60 seconds left now for Twisted Minds on their attack.
They don't even commit the Dragon Strike to try and circumvent it. They are playing, like you said, fully back, fully passively to make sure that no one gets picked off until they can have the ultimate advantage. As here's the Dragon Strike splitting Cloudy off, but the Silent Barrier saves the Reinhardt, and he's still deep in the back line.
Yeah, he wanted to get that charge out of the Ice Block form. Unfortunately, won't get it. Immortality Field to keep him alive for now. Annihilation is still healthy, though. And with that, Quartz is able to find 2, make that 3. Slay also to find Ghost at the end of it. Twisted Minds just take out SrPeakCheck with a few good ultimate placements, but that took them a lot of time.
A lot of time because of those really aggressive spawn holds and then being stuck in corner for so many fights in a row, as SrPeakCheck still going to struggle now in terms of the defense, trying to close up the distance against Quartz on the Hanzo, who takes a lot of pressure and actually has to back on off. That Fire Strike almost taking the Hanzo down, as he's fully forced to back off and wait for SrPeakCheck to try and take this engagement.
And the rest of SrPeakCheck move forward. Curixu gets the snipe kill. And Symmetra against UV over the top. Ant Matrix is here for Quartz, but he's already lost 2 members, so this might be too late. Cloudy gets the teleporter and says, I don't need range. I can just use the Symmetra TP and smack you in the face with my big hammer.
That's amazing! Fight takes one for the team. He literally ice blocks in front of the Ant Matrix to block the teleporter, so that Quartz isn't able to destroy it before LH Cloudy is on top of him. And as a result, the Hanzo is off of the angle and Twisted Minds have to approach slope all over again.
Twisted Minds now walk up, do have Dragon Strike available, but SrPeakCheck are the ones with the ultimate advantage. Quartz has the Dragon Strike at the back of the map over here, but here comes that Blizzard and Ant Matrix. Far too much damage to deal with. Double ultimate usage for SrPeakCheck results in a fight win.
Quartz tries to dash out of the Blizzard as well with the Hanzo lunge, and QRXU tracks where he's going to go and takes the Hanzo down. So Twisted Minds can't even turn around and throw something like the Dragon Strike to be able to peel the effects of the Blizzard. They have at least been able to bait both it and the Amplification Matrix out, so coming into this fight, they do have the advantage in terms of overall ults.
There's the Dragon Strike. Cloudy stuck in the eye of it. Shatter comes out. Fi with that, able to find Yubi. Immortality Field now used for Twisted Minds, but they're already missing 2. Fi has killed Helix and Yubi. Gets them out of this fight, and Cloudy just zones out Quartz, understanding this is the only win condition for them at the moment. Just some nice headshots from Quartz, as he is able to find Ghost, but too little too late for him. Slay's able to find Fi. Eventually will get staggered out. KSA does get that damage past the shield, like you said. Helix is able to get Cloudy, so they're actually working themselves back into this, even though they're kind of down. And Twisted Minds look to pressure this payload once more.
Yeah, that kill onto Ghost as the BAP is absolutely clutch, because it means that SrPeakCheck, they're without that heal, so even though Cloudy is still around, he just takes too much pressure from the pummel through the shield, and it just becomes stall potential, as now Twisted Minds, they've got that win condition once again. Annihilation fully charged up with a Silent Barrier to allow you to aggress in.
Symmetra shield used by QRXU, that ultimate popped, and beat drop as well. Dala has been fast with these beats, forces the counter beat out of Twisted Minds, and the charge comes through from Cloudy, brings KSA back. He's popping the Annihilation, but he gets deleted by QRXU, who's full charge as Symmetra. Can TP back and forth now on to Quartz, make sure his life is a living hell. Dala is able to find UV overtime, takes down nobody else here to touch, and SrPeakCheck just have to deal with Quartz, and they do so they stop Twisted Minds in the Streets phase.
That charge from Cloudy. Oh my goodness, that's the most impactful charge that he's had so far this series, Dustin. It's absolutely huge because they Silent Barrier first. In the Lucio matchup, you always want to be the Lucio that Silent Barrier second, because you're going to have the sustain once the other side's wears off. Calyx has the win condition for KSA to be able to hit in with the Annihilation, and SrPeakCheck had just popped Silent Barrier. They would not be able to survive, try to take the engagement, and if they disengage, Twisted Minds gets even more distance and pressure to apply onto that payload. But Cloudy finds the pin onto KSA, so when he actually activates the Annihilation, he's so low that QRXU fully charged up, takes the Ramatra down before Twisted Minds can use it to anchor their position.
Wow. I mean, just disgusting work from Cloudy. and SrPeakCheck. I mean, there's a reason they chose this map, right, Mox? I mean, they could deal with this Ramattra relatively well, even though you would think maybe the Ramattra, like you mentioned earlier, with the pummel going through the shield and stuff, could kind of counter it. Seems like
the domino effect. By taking us onto circuit, they forced Twisted Minds off of the pharmacy, and as a result, SrPeakCheck don't have to constantly assign a hit scan in the form of the Cassidy to babysit your backline and make sure that they don't get just dropped onto by Pharah every single match, and it means that Cloudy gets to play with the Symmetra again.
Yeah, I mean, it's been good so far. You'd think that maybe Danny coming through would be nice, but, I mean, QRXU's been clean with this as well. I mean, we talked about him. Fantastic player, kind of like Quartz Light, but in this situation, he's become Quartz Prime all the way back. Cart still being pushed as well. Charge early comes out again from onto KSA, and he's already poked down low, forcing a ton of resources out of Twisted Minds. They're burning him down so fast. Nice shot from Quartz over the top. Kellogg's able to get the kill, follow up onto Cloudy. KSA barely escapes with his life. USC tries to TP farther away. Unfortunately, it was blocked by the cart, kind of, so he will go down, and the rest of his team has to back up now.
Yeah, by trying to apply that pressure onto KSA and lock the kill down onto the Ramattra, Cloudy unfortunately exposes himself to Quartz up on the high ground with the Hanzo, as well as Slay, who's just sitting on the back, pressuring that Reinhardt into dropping the shield so they can find the damage even when it's up, finding it onto the Reinhardt's dome. As it does look like we're going to see an early Symmetra TP circumvented by the Mei wall, the team entirely split in half. Thankfully, Ghost is able to throw the Immortality field, but that's a crucial cooldown, now offline.
Yeah, early pummel used by KSA, understanding that SrPeakCheck drop, try to find him. But Quartz again over the top. I mean, he's just so free. Manages to hit another crucial shot on the QRX2, forcing SrPeakCheck back again.
Yeah, SrPeakCheck finding a really tough task of being able to approach this payload and take the high ground angle away from this Hanzo. Quartz already building into that Dragon Strike, has it online now, so if Ghost tries to open up the space for SrPeakCheck with an amplification matrix, since they had invested his in the last fight, the Hanzo ultimate can just carve right through it.
Storm Arrow onto the shield of Cloudy. Playing around the corner is the rest of SrPeakCheck. TP now comes through. They want to just take up that Hanzo immediately. Ghost has to drop out, but here's the Shatter. Immediately switching it up from the high ground into this Dragon Strike now. Twisted Minds try to equalize it, but finding that kill on the Yubi with Cloudy is just enough for them to get this fight win. Quartz will jump towards that payload to go and die as Twisted Minds reset.
KSA actually got isolated after that Shatter as well, and Quartz throws out the Dragon Strike directly on top of the Ramattra, right through the main belt, to try and save him, but all that does is eat into the ultimate resources that Twisted Minds have available for this next fight. Annihilation's still going to be available, but Fi does have the Blizzard to be able to zone its effects out.
Ant Matrix is there. There's that wall, like you said. Now that Blizzard immediately tossed out. Cloudy tries to charge out of it. Rest of SrPeakCheck avoid it with some either cooldowns or overall movement and positioning. A minute and 20 seconds left on the clock. KSA sitting on the corner of the Annihilation. They have the beat drop, but still at that ult disadvantage. Wall used by QRXU into the Blizzard from Fi. Annihilation still available for KSA. He gets the beat temporarily. There's that charge to bring him off the map from Cloudy. What a charge there. No more Annihilation available. Just having DPSs and supports here for Twisted Minds surely won't be enough. Cloudy gets the Immortality field just as secure to use the beat. Use the beat, but that was a fight win already, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that usage, Dustin, especially because you look at the ultimates that are going to be online and coming up for Twisted Minds in this next fight. Now you can't even play it the way we saw on Numbani, where SrPeakCheck just played super aggressively far forward, taking away Twisted Mind space, taking away the angles available for the Pharah the way that they could have for Quartz, and as a result, QRXU goes down early.
That's a nice shot from Quartz again. Still only have 3 minutes though. SrPeakCheck go for the Shatter onto Yubi, but there's the Ant Matrix to force out of it. I mean, that's a trade you'll take if you're SrPeakCheck side, but Twisted Minds still get this fight win.
Yeah, if you're SrPeakCheck, you need to take these fights as quickly as possible and drain Twisted Mind's ultimate economy so you're on an even standing. But Quartz, he's got all of the angles that he needs. He doesn't even need to throw Dragon Strike. As long as he isn't pressured, KSA is going to have the Annihilation too. And SrPeakCheck, they don't have what they used last time to deal with it. They don't have that Blizzard available to freeze KSA out and find the charge to take him out of line of sight for Immortality Field to allow Annihilation to pull back in. And Twisted Minds, they pop it immediately.
Yeah, there's the Annihilation in the Dragon Strike, and everybody from SrPeakCheck gets wiped from the floor. 2 minutes off the clock now. SrPeakCheck are gonna have to just wait to respawn.
That is 2 ultimates, however, used from Twisted Minds. They use the Annihilation to keep SrPeakCheck on that payload, and then Quartz sends the Dragon Strike to cut off the disengagement, so they're stuck eating all of the tick damage as well as the Hansel ultimate. But SrPeakCheck, they can take this fight super quickly and have the ultimate advantage.
Yeah, nice TP play. Unfortunately, the card is around the pillar. The Blizzard is there as well. Cloudy went a bit too far around the corner to get some support from his team, who was trying to get value out of the Ant Matrix, and now Quartz and Kellex can just farm for 2. SrPeakCheck back up once again.
Vi is going to have the Blizzard. QRXU also going to have that Symmetra wall. I mean, the huge play that you can make is waiting until Slay is going to have the Amplification Matrix and using it to wall off the effects the way that we have seen SrPeakCheck do it in the past. But if you take too long, Quartz is going to be able to build into another Dragon Strike.
TP from SrPeakCheck. There's that Blizzard on the Twisted Minds, removes that Immortality field. Beat drop from Kellex is here, but KSA still goes so low. Eventually, Ant Matrix is popped, and he's back to full HP. Cloudy with the beat drop, trying to just counter that Ant Matrix wall here from the likes of QRXU into the Dragon Strike. Everybody's still healthy on both sides. Quartz gets poked down very low, though, and Yubi will find QRXU, who went for that TP flank. There's that Shatter to try to equalize it, but Immortality field from Slay is perfectly timed to keep them nice and healthy. With 30 seconds left, Ghost just looks to charge in and die. That's a lot of ults used for no final win from SrPeakCheck.
No one from SrPeakCheck can get picked off by Quartz before they're ready to take this fight. They do not have the time to afford a full regroup. This Symmetra teleporter is going to have to be quickly, but Dustin is going to be predictable.
Yeah, swap comes through from QRXU onto the Hanzo off the Sim. Wall, though, onto Quartz to maybe zone him out for now. Fi takes some body shots, but it's still alive. Quartz still looking for this Hanzo. Knowing it hasn't crossed yet, he has to look for him because QRXU might be a nuisance so far, but he is also poked out away from the fight, so he needs some heals. Cloudy and the rest of SrPeakCheck regroup around this payload. Quartz gets poked down to 1 HP, but still has heals from that backside. Vortex to zone. Now QRXU shows his face on that outside angle. SrPeakCheck still sitting this front line. Drop the Ant Matrix. No ultimates for Twisted Minds. Quartz gets poked down, but Slay has his own Ant Matrix ready to go. Kellex as well, trying to stay alive from flying this off angle. Slay pops his own Ant Matrix. It will last a bit longer. Oh my god, Dala touches last second. But now there's that Blizzard to zone for Twisted Minds, and nobody touches the payload! Twisted Minds will win on Circuit Royale to go up in the series 2-1.
Yeah, we do see that SrPeakCheck throw the Amplification Matrix down first, but KSA literally sits inside the Nemesis form and takes all of the damage necessary to allow his team to be able to just keep that payload contested while still holding on to an Amplification Matrix of their own. So the second SrPeakCheck are down the Baptiste ultimate, they can throw out theirs. They understand as well they're going to have the Blizzard to be able to force SrPeakCheck into the tough position of either voluntarily putting yourself into the ultimate to keep the payload in contest, or not being able to touch it and the map ending no matter what.
Oh, man, I'm getting invested in this series, Moxie. I'm getting emotionally invested in both teams at the moment. SrPeakCheck, you know, off that map with the hand, like, what was that, 3 minutes going into the second phase?
It all goes wrong for them on the sound barrier. Unfortunately,
yeah.
Like, it really is. The usage of the sound barrier on a fight that's already been won just means that, again, they have to go forward, like, super aggressively and try and find a kill, an absence to create into a Twisted composition so that they can cheat the ultimate advantage that they'd just thrown out the window. And QRXU gets picked off and Twisted Minds instantly just get to recover fully.
Yeah, I mean, clean work from Twisted Minds on their side, too, to really just take advantage. You called it on Nubani, Moxie. I mean, it seems like SrPeakCheck relying heavily on Twisted Minds to make mistakes to get the win, but they're just not. They're just playing some clean Overwatch at the moment, and it's been so tough to deal with them. Obviously, you know, a pretty decent time back into that second phase, like you said, but after that beat drop, everything kind of went downhill. What do they do after this next one? I mean, it's important, obviously, for them to enact on that, like, bend, not break mentality, you know, to bounce back on this next one, but that was their map to win, and unfortunately for them, they're dropping it.
Yeah, it was also their best bet to not have to worry about the pharmacy again. Because unfortunately, we now have to move over to a push map, and there's no nice way of putting it. Every single push map allows things like pharmacy to be enabled if Twisted Minds really do want to play into it. And I am sure we're going to be waiting to see whether or not SrPeakCheck want to play off of a potential substitution coming through from Twisted Minds. Because if we do see Lambda come back into the mix, it is going to have to be back into the hit scan for SrPeakCheck in the books.
Colosseo, that next map, like you said, we'll have to see if Twisted Minds make that sub, drop in Lambda. So funny that, it's like obviously people talked about, in previous iterations of this game, and it still kind of is that way where you want to be like a flexible player. This jack of all trades kind of libero player. He was the original, I would say, Overwatch player, right? That was kind of that flex player that would play, Hanzo, Mei, Cass, playing the hit scan, projectile. But now, over here in Europe, it feels like we have some very, very talented specialists, right? That Pharah, Echo, and stuff. And whenever we see Lambda, like you said, we know we're seeing the Pharah. Whenever you see Quartz, we're playing that Ashe or something like that, or playing the Cass. At times, Hanzo, like he did previously. So, the onus has got to be on SrPeakCheck. What do you think they do on Colosseo differently? Or is it just a matter of tightening up their original game plan?
Well, if you are playing the Reinhardt, at least for Colosseo on that first fight, you do guarantee a lot of spaces restricted from the other team. You can play some really nice rotations as well, the way we saw them yesterday. Being able to go for those rotations, take away the opponent's high ground, use things like the Symmetra teleporter to instantly infiltrate that Reinhardt composition into the backline and just push their opponent into being in a really uncomfortable state of not really being able to predict where the Reinhardt is going to pop up. Unfortunately for them, however, Twisted Minds most likely going to be playing into the strengths of KSA's Ramatra on this map, and that means that really fast, snappy push that they're trying to make, that approach looking for, immediately gets slowed down just by dropping a Vortex into the mix.
Yeah, it's been very good how KSA has been playing it. Continuously, like you said, dropping that Vortex, slowing the likes of SrPeakCheck down, where it's been the focal point, obviously, of Cloudy to make sure that he's just not in the fight as well. He said, okay, you can just shoot, you can hit my shield with the pummel, or he'll hit my HP with the pummel. I'll just charge you, or whatever. I mean, he's like, you walk at me, I'll just charge you away, take you off the map, or hit you into a wall. Meanwhile, Colosseo can't really go for those environmental kills on the Reinhardt. Cloudy, really good at doing that, but, without a lot of that area, it's going to be tougher to do it. Colosseo is a map where SrPeakCheck have to make some decisions, obviously, right? They showed on Circuit Royale a lot of that fast-paced Symmetra gameplay. In Moxie, I think it's looking like they're making a sub here. They're going to sub in Danid because they want to maintain some of that Symmetra, huh?
Yeah, they want to maintain that Symmetra, but this also opens up the door for QRXT to be a lot more flexible in terms of their role, because this is, oh no, it's not even going to be QRXT staying around. It's actually going to be Phi coming back into the mix. So it seems like Twisted Mind's not going to be wanting to put Lambda back in. Quartz and Yubi still going to be staying. So as a result, SrPeakCheck going to be wanting to run the full Reinhardt composition that they have anchored into so many of these other series with that Symmetra alongside that Mei to try and set up these first initial fights. I'm just a little concerned. They've always faced problems against things like the Bastion and the Pharah before, but that Ramatra, like you said, now until at least you get to that first checkpoint, it's a lot harder for you to be able to find those connections with the Reinhardt, the charge onto the Ram, denying him that presence of being able to absorb all of the damage when someone does get isolated by the Mei wall, considering that he has not only the shield like the Reinhardt, but also the block in Nemesis form. So once you wear one ability down, you still have to worry about the next.
Yeah, it's just consistency from the likes of Twisted Minds. And obviously, if they win this one, they're going to win the series. So it's on SrPeakCheck to tie it up on Colosseo. I mean, they've done it before. This is a good map for them previously. That's why they're going to choose it leading into the series with Twisted Minds, who have not made any swaps. This has kind of been another map where the likes of Quartz have been playing consistently for Twisted Minds so far. So they're just trying to close it out right about now, whereas maybe SrPeakCheck try to mix it up with throwing the likes of Phi and Danid in the lineup.
Yeah, if you want to really know as well, the matchup between that Ramatra and the Reinhardt, Cloudy on the last map blocks 21,000 damage but dies 9 times. In comparison, KSA on the Ram, 19,000 damage blocked but only 6 deaths because the Ramatra, he's able to keep poking when he's still sitting in his team as opposed to when the Reinhardt pushes, and we've seen it time and time again. Cloudy goes for those charges, he has to really commit into those pushes. If for any reason he gets split away from his team, very quickly it results in the Rhine going down.
See if Cloudy can deal with KSA on this one. I mean, obviously, fantastic Ramatra gameplay from KSA on the previous map, and also the rest of the lineup as well. I mean, UB had some amazing plays on the previous one. Quartz as well, and the Hanzo was the standout player, I feel like, on circuit, as Slay and Calyx just maintained their backline prowess. Whereas SrPeakCheck, we know what they're going to run. Twisted Minds walking towards that Hanzo, it looks like, again.
Looking towards the Hanzo, but not only that, also, yeah, that I was going to say, there's no way they actually commit into this chunk of Queen. KSA going to be playing that Ramatra, Quartz looking for that spam, but also even more shield pressure onto this Reinhardt, the ability with the Storm Arrows to chunk through the shield, through the Mei wall, and force out that block as quickly as possible. So even if you start losing the fight, you're at least able to force out the ability to stop the stall.
SrPeakCheck going for the full wrap around the world, basically, before the robot unlocks. Still 3 seconds till it does, knowing that SrPeakCheck now look to close out on that robot as they swapped sides entirely. Danid trying to get some charge off the Mei wall first before then putting all that damage into KSA as his turret's up ready to go, just maintaining this damage into him as well, forcing out that pummel for him. Now has TP available just to toss a symmetric teleporter or symmetric turret into the backline. KSA still that target focus, but eventually Quartz takes him down, and this was the problem on Circuit Royale for the symmetric comp. Quartz just kind of ruins everything for SrPeakCheck.
Quartz has taken 1,881, not Quartz, KSA has taken 1,881 damage so far, Dustin. In one fight. That's how much damage the Ramatra took, and crucially, here's the big difference maker, lived. The shield, the Nemesis form, the block, the immortality field, so much allowed KSA to be able to sustain that position, and SrPeakCheck are just losing so much space as a result because Slay with his healing constantly got access to his tank's line of sight and just gets to supercharge up the Ant Matrix in comparison to poor Ghost.
I mean, with Quartz just big online like he has been, the Symmetra feels like a bit of a mistake at this point. I mean, 45 meters built up for Twisted Minds. SrPeakCheck trying to shut him out. Just go for the charge on him. Dragon Strike though to zone. Cloudy is now alone. Shield being deleted. He has to back up. Card is still getting pushed, by the way, until somebody touches it. Cloudy has to back all the way up, and Calyx has found Danid already. Down below, he was just off on his own little island. I think got booped off by Calyx. Maybe, and SrPeakCheck are a bit discombobulated now. Blizzard used by Yubi towards the payload. Cloudy is frozen. Everybody just goes to die in the robot, and that's going to be an early checkpoint for Twisted Minds.
Discombobulated is definitely what I would say to describe SrPeakCheck at the moment. That headshot is really going to be felt resonating in the team, as surely their comms are just filled with confusion at the moment. What do you do against this? You're losing the poke pressure when Cloudy tries to push in deep with the Symmetra teleporter. You get spammed down and can't kill anything. Even with such a huge shatter, only now are they able to find the value because of the immortality field. As SrPeakCheck are able to find a fight win, but Dustin, it cost them a TP, a Shatter, and a Blizzard on top of it to guarantee that Twisted Minds weren't able to use such a good sustained composition to be able to endure through everything.
Yeah, just crosses that middle section. Now 80 meters in the bank for Twisted Minds with 7 minutes on the clock. Ant Matrix comes out. They want to go aggressive with it, but it's blocked out, negated entirely. Beat drop also counter engaged from Twisted Minds. Gala pops his own, but now that's against that annihilation. Everybody's burned out. Ghost able to find Slay. That's a great kill, but KSA eventually will whittle down Danid on that inside angle. Cloudy just desperately swinging his hammer towards KSA. Will find him, but Calyx has traded back Dala and fine. So it's just as Baptiste and Reinhardt versus 3 members of Twisted Minds out of ice block form. Yubi goes Dragon Strike onto the inside. Cloudy's able to find Yubi. Dragon Strike also avoided by Ghost, so Ghost just doing a good job walking out of line of sight, plays that corner perfectly. So they do get those kills, but spawns aren't close enough. Quartz being poked down by Ghost. I mean, he's been gross on the Baptiste so far. Gets his elbow shot by Quartz. Still sitting above the point, though. The fight's still kind of going on. SrPeakCheck look to stall it. Do they want to back up or keep it going? Shatter still available for Cloudy. They TP onto Quartz, dive onto him. Shatter comes through into that amplification matrix, and eventually Dala finds him. The Blizzard just to zone. Doesn't catch anybody necessarily, but they do find Slay, so not a lot of healing here. However, it doesn't matter. Ghost and Danid both fall, as does Fine. Dala soon to follow. Twisted Minds reclaim the robot.
Blizzard locked down Cloudy and guaranteed that no one from SrPeakCheck were able to peel for him, and without that tank, now we're right back to the exact same position that SrPeakCheck struggled against so much. Quartz so close to the Dragon Strike, Vi pretty close to a Blizzard of their own. If you can just pressure Twisted Minds away from taking control of the high ground and using this Hanzo pressure from before a fight starts, you should be able to create a little bit more distance, but Twisted Minds are just disengaging, playing back, making sure that no one gets caught out early.
There's a Symmetra wall, tossing it vertically towards Twisted Minds. They just charge them off that robot for now. Counter beat engaged from Kelix. Nobody low yet for SrPeakCheck necessarily, so they did a good job waiting out that beat drop, as well as Danid sitting at high charge. TP's around to the back onto Slay. Make sure he's taking away a bit of that damage, but no, Slay melts him down. Amazing shots from the Baptiste player of Twisted Minds. Dragon Strike re-engaged, and SrPeakCheck have to use the Immortality Field to play slow. But Quartz is still here. Oh my god, nice charge from Cloudy. Immortality Field wasn't there in time to save him. Counter beat drop committed by Dala. Perfectly timed from him as well. And Fi now pushes forward on the Twisted Minds, who have no ultimates in this fight, but they're missing some of that damage output from their Symmetra player of Danid. Blizzard to zone. Cloudy gets poked so low. Needs healing desperately. Will try to jump away, but the Annihilation eventually will kill him. And no more tank available for SrPeakCheck. And they don't have any ultimates besides this amplification matrix, so they're just looking to die towards this payload or this robot. And they do so as Twisted Minds reclaim it.
Cloudy at least is going to have that shatter, but Twisted Minds do have the advantage in terms of the ultimate economy and also in terms of the neutral. Because now look at the aggressive positioning that Quartz is putting himself back into alongside Slay. As if Cloudy tries to charge into this team, he goes straight into the Ant Matrix. As with the ultimate, SrPeakCheck have no choice but to give space.
They give it up now. There's that Blizzard perfectly placed from Yubi in that open spot. Makes that really easy for them. I mean, they take down Cloudy. Also, Ghost Fi does trade back Yubi at the very least, but it's a bit too late. 3 kills go in favor of Twisted Minds as they're progressing up to 100 meters.
That was such a mean Blizzard because it forced Cloudy into trying to charge out, and Quartz instantly knows the Rhine Shield is going to be dropped and gets into position to punish, as because of that, he's already got another Dragon Strike.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about previously, where we want SrPeakCheck to do the same thing. Cloudy drops his Shatter, trying to catch out Twisted Minds as they avoid it. So that's one ultimate gone on the side of Twisted, or excuse me, on the side of SrPeakCheck, as they have less than 3 minutes left to capture a lot of time or distance.
Same TP, exact same shatter position, and Twisted Minds anticipated, and like you said, just disengage. And they have the distance and can look for that disengagement because they have the advantage with their Hanzo from afar. And as a result, when the fight properly begins, it's on their terms.
A nice shot from Yubi. Finds that opening pick, and 2 minutes 25 seconds now on the clock. Twisted Minds are in control once again.
Quartz still holding onto this Dragon Strike. Every single kill that Twisted Minds have been able to find so far, every single space is just threatening. With this Hanzo preemptively finding a pick as Ghost goes back onto that Baptiste. Danid does have the symbol. They're going to split it right down the middle so the Rhine can use it to shield hop into the fight without taking the Hanzo pressure.
And Blizzard also tossed from Fi. They're always using the Symmetra wall and then Blizzard immediately after. At this point, Cloudy tries to go for the charge, but there's that Ant Matrix and beat drop from Kelix and Slay. Counter beat from Dala to keep everybody healthy, but no kills just yet for the side of SrPeakCheck. Fi just looking to harass this backline, make sure they're not really focused on KSA, who eventually gets burned down by Danid, but Quartz always finding at least one. Got his in this one. Fi gets removed, and they still have some solid ults to work with.
Yeah, and we are running out of time in SrPeakCheck, unfortunately. Not going to be running out of distance that they need to push for a while yet. KSA, Annihilation, UB, Blizzard, and SrPeakCheck only have an Amplification Matrix and a Shatter. And at this point, it's just become so predictable that they use the Shatter immediately off of the SimTP.
Yeah, Shatter ready to go. Like you said, potential TP play to come through from them. Already charge coming through from Cloudy, trying to find UB, but gets walled in Blizzard on the left side. Ant Matrix, or Immortality Foe can't even save him over the top. Tough angle to throw it in at Fi. Does trade back course at the very least, but eventually Ghost goes down. Dandit on the inside falls too, and again, Twisted Minds are in control of this robot as Dala and Fi just kind of delay the inevitable in these fights. Whittled down, 40 seconds left.
Well, at least you're not going to get blocked off of the objective by a Blizzard this time around. Unfortunately, you might be blocked off of the objective by either Annihilation or Dragon Strike, as SrPeakCheck still holding onto the Shatter. Ghost coming up to the Amplification Matrix, has it before Slay, and once again, we're going to see Twisted Minds anticipating this deficit, disengaging so that they have the space to be able to kite it out.
Seconds left. I mean, it'd be a miracle run if SrPeakCheck could do it here, but Twisted Minds are in a solid position at the moment. Court sitting above the high ground. TP already used, so no more mobility in terms of that ability. UV takes down Cloudy early on. I mean, just so much damage to the rest of his team. The Hanzo over the top. Couldn't even use his Shatter. Ant Matrix is now left alone against this Annihilation. Fi gets one. Eventually, Quartz fell, but they have to commit so much to kill him. Overtime ticks down, and Twisted Minds will be moving up in this upper bracket, and is now the likes of SrPeakCheck drop below into the losers.
So Cloudy actually is able to take the TP, but it's only Cloudy in the last fight. He makes it through, and then UB immediately walls the teleport behind the Rhine, so none of the rest of his team are able to actually escape. Crucially, as Baptiste is left behind, and like you said, Cloudy goes down because he just can't afford to drop the shield and try for the Shatter. He just has to hold on and hope that his team are going to be able to break the wall and to return to him, but it just doesn't happen, and as a result, Twisted Minds are just free to farm the backline without worrying about the Rhine.
Yeah, unfortunately as well, I just think that in terms of, you know, subbing Dandit in instead of pure XU, the Symmetra was kind of just being countered. We saw it on Circuit Royale, right, by Quartz's Hanzo. Anytime they did a TP play or really anything, it doesn't matter how much sustained damage you're putting down when the Hanzo could just one-tap you. So
yeah, and again, like, they always had just control of the angles because Twisted Minds were able to create that space distance between themselves and SrPeakCheck so early. They could afford, when SrPeakCheck were in control of this objective, when it was moving through that middle ground, to give the ground over to a space to take a fight where Quartz was always going to have more of an advantage early on in the engagements, and as those engagements wore on for those off angles to play for the Hanzo, far better than it does for that Symmetra, who, like the Reinhardt, needs to be close to be able to get that beam fully charged up.
Twisted Minds looking as dominant as ever in these playoffs so far. Obviously, going on for a 3-2 win on SrPeakCheck means they're sitting pretty still as that favorite to win this year. But in the meanwhile, Twisted Minds will set up for the next match, whenever that may be. And meanwhile, the likes of SrPeakCheck, like I said, have to go back down, make that run through the lower bracket, and figure things out. So we'll have to see if they could do that. Obviously, they'll have a lot of VOD to go over if they want to win against Twisted Minds next time. But for Twisted Minds, we'll have to see what they have to say after an interview with one of their members. We'll see who that is after a short break, guys. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back with that interview.
Oh, hello, Fancy meeting you here. It's so nice to see ya. Are you ready to survive the wastelands? Then you'll need to bring your shotgun, your axe, and of course, your knife. Or your sharp wit, if you get my drift. Hey, whoa. Hold on there. Don't forget to pick up your Overwatch Contenders Junker Queen skin. Yeah, gearing up is as easy as connecting your Battle.net account to Twitch. And after that, watching the Overwatch Contenders Summer Series will contribute to your drop progression, letting you claim your own wasteland-ready Overwatch Contenders Junker Queen skin. Oh, that's right. It's time to rampage. Now, get out there and slay with the Overwatch Contenders Junker Queen skin. Okay, take care now. See you in chat.
Welcome back, everybody. Twisted Minds just won 3-1 against the likes of SrPeakCheck, and we've brought Cointree, the manager of Twisted Minds. How you doing, Cointree? Congrats on your guys' win and continued dominance in Contenders.
Thank you very much, Dustin. And of course, I think this is expected of us to be able to perform at this level in playoffs.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So when you are a manager of a team that has had such a dominant run like Twisted Minds, obviously on broadcast we get to see these matches where they seem to just win a lot of the time with ease, but behind the scenes so much more is going on to make sure that this team is able to perform at the absolute top level. How much work goes into maintaining that pedigree of mechanics that all of these players are at?
You're absolutely right, Moxie. So a lot of people expect us to not scrim as much because we're like a Saudi-based team, and it's kind of just like I suppose a reputation of Saudi teams. But actually, in reality, we actually do scrim like double blocks, and we the players work very hard. They're always grinding and ranked, and always like showing up on time, you know, to get the full double block for practice.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense, and obviously for you guys. You know, you kind of led into it when we were talking a little bit before we started talking to you with the interview, how a lot of teams are very competitive right now after the most recent patch changes. Is that actually pretty true? A lot of these teams are doing quite well in practice in general?
It is indeed. It's quite a meta shakeup with Illari and Orisa being the meta rotation. And to be completely honest, we definitely struggled in the beginning. And I mean, even now, we're still kind of working around and see if we could, you know, play things that we're more familiar with, but of course, adapting to the meta.
Do you think that integration as well, where you were able to get Quartz and Yubi coming into the team in seasons before now to be able to move away from just sort of having that identity as being a Pharah and Echo-based team, has allowed you to sort of get ahead of the curve in terms of being able to deal with the Orisa and the Illari, which are so problematic for those aerial heroes?
Absolutely. The Quartz UB DPS line, in my opinion, is definitely like the most flexible DPS line in Contenders EU. I think we still have some holes to fill, but they've also been working very hard to be able to support the team with, of course, improving their flexibility and skill. And
you know, for you guys, obviously, like you said, with the flexibility from from the likes of Quartz on Circuit Royale. He obviously had a fantastic game on the Hanzo. In general, you guys played very good, but what do you think specifically about, like, if you could talk maybe about strategy, about that Symmetra play that was being pulled out from SrPeakCheck? Do you feel like Quartz in the Hanzo was just straight up countering it?
Yes. The game plan for us was mostly just playing the Hanzo or the Ashe to beat them in spam, because for Sin Mei to get a lot of value, they need to, of course, brawling with us in close quarters. And good teams like SrPeakCheck, uses their teleport very, very well. So I mean, essentially the Ryan rush becomes a dive comp, unironically. And we definitely have a lot of trust in Quartz to just simply kick heads and counter them that way.
Yeah.
So you said a little bit earlier about how it was incredibly competitive for the region at the moment. Because we are seeing this meta shift, a lot of the teams that were maybe a little bit lower in the seeding have already been able to complete a couple of surprise victories against some of the teams that were slightly higher up. Obviously, as the team currently at the top of the standings right now, is there any sort of team that you're expecting to be one of those surprises that you have to worry about later on down the line?
I think I would be really careful with Team Peps. They're very underrated, and the coach Laverga is known for cooking, especially for these like newer metas. That's like a little wacky with the comps. But we're definitely like very worried in regards to Ex-Oblivion. My good friend Reggie is the head coach for them, and he's been DMing me every day telling me that he's gonna try hard on counter comp. So yeah, definitely looking out there.
It makes a lot of sense. So you guys have your own kind of switches and stuff as well, and for you guys, for Twisted Minds, like in terms of when you sub in Lambda and sub in Quartz, is every map kind of like sent preemptively before you go in, or are these things still changing, day of, when you want to sub in potentially to play that Pharah Echo or have Quartz come in on the Hanzo or hit scan?
I think we mostly would have like discussions for who we want to play, scrims before the officials, and we practice during warm-ups based on what we want to do. However, some teams have like natural mental blocks against Pharah teams, so we have like information on that. We definitely just play Pharah and go for the easy win.
So then, talking about deciding who you want to play in terms of those heroes, obviously, like you said, Orisa has seen such a huge shift in terms of placement in meta, that we're yet to actually see KSA really fielding towards things like the D.Va and the Ramatra instead. As a manager, why do you think it's possible that he is able to beat out this hero that so many tank players are touting as not just the best tank at the moment, but the best hero in the game currently?
In my opinion, KSA is just the best tank in EU and NA contenders right now. He's mechanically good enough to just outplay these Orisa players. And I think, I'm not sure I'm allowed to say this, but like, there's definitely like a little bit of meta diversity in like higher tiers of scrims, where like Sigma is also like very viable on like longer sideline maps to counter the Orisa comps. So we definitely do want to play towards our strength. In this case, KSA is a very good Sigma, so we want to play around his hero pool a little more.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. And Cointree, is there anything else that you want to say before we let you go? I mean, you guys had such a pretty good performance today. Anything you want to say before you move on to your next games?
Oh, absolutely, Dustin. So shout out to Cloudy. On stream, he said we couldn't beat him when we play Ramcomp. Hey, Cloudy, just want to say GG's, man. It was a very fun series to watch. Yeah.
Good words, honestly, Cointree. You guys win that 3-1, so congrats to you, and good luck in your next match.
Thank you, and thank you for having me on stream again, and I hope you guys have a nice one.
Oh, thanks, Cointree. Well, that was obviously Twisted Minds getting that 3-1 win, and Cointree, the manager of Twisted Minds. Fantastic series from them. They get to move forward into this upper bracket and continue that reign of dominance. Meanwhile, the other matchup that does matter a lot for the upper bracket implications is going to be versus Ex-Oblivion, that team that Cointree brought up earlier, and then we get to watch later on whoever is going to be up against Team Peps down in that lower bracket. I think that depends. Was that depend on this one? Yeah. Yeah. So we have to wait and see what happens there. Meanwhile, SrPeakCheck now going to be against that team Ataraxia in the lower bracket.
That's going to be a fun one to watch. It's so close to call as well, because even though SrPeakCheck are doing statistically better in terms of standings, Ataraxia have come into their own on this patch. Not only do they have health, one of the best Orissas who was playing Orissa even before the Orissa buffed patch in the last season. We've got Gala, who has really seemed to be able to just get on top of how to play Iliari so much faster than some of these other supports. So definitely keep your eye on him, because he has been doing absolute wonders with this new hero, and as a result, Ataraxia have really hit a new stride.
Well, let's see what happens in the next matchup between Exable, Vioni, and all. Yeah, obviously we have to go to a short break before that to let the players set up. So guys, don't go anywhere. We'll be back for this next series.
Do you like solving problems? Problems like how to stop that tracer from deleting your backline? I know just what you're thinking. You'll bring a turret. But y'all can't solve all your problems by simply bringing an extra friend to the battlefield. For that, you need the Contenders Torbjorn skin. Solve your problems by connecting your Battle.net account to Twitch. After that, watching Overwatch Contenders Summer Series will contribute to your drops progress, letting you claim your Overwatch Contenders Torbjorn skin. Even your turret gets an upgrade. Warning, the Overwatch Contenders Torbjorn skin does not come with extra or upgraded turrets. Build instructions will not be provided. By picking Torbjorn, you waive a claim towards any destroyed turrets. No refunds, no exchanges, and no take-backsies.